So on a recent call with a highly respected CEO of a CPG company, I was asked a question that resembled one that's been pretty common over the last couple of years, and that was pointed towards my free content strategy. This comment usually comes from a place of the person on the other line asking, do I understand, just how much I could charge for a lot of the free content that I put out on a regular basis? They're trying to wrap their heads around, why put out so much free content, and in a way, just kind of making sure that I'm not crazy, and I do understand that there's a ton of value that's getting put out there for free. If I take a step back, think about it, put myself in their shoes and just anybody's shoes that have asked me this question over the last couple of years, it does seem very counterintuitive, especially if you think about it in the context of the business that I'm in, management consulting. A lot of the content that I'm putting out very regularly is surrounding industries or topics or things that would be connected in some way with the work that I'm charging clients for. And the question always kind of comes up, if you are putting out all this free content, why would somebody pay for it? And I'll touch on a lot of those things later in the video. If you even think about this from comparing it to the biggest consulting firms in the world, you look at like Bain and Company, you look at McKinsey and Company, you look at Boston Consulting Group, you look at Accenture, you even look at some of the major accounting firms that have a strategy division like Deloitte, which I worked at as an intern back college in their international tax strategy division. But if you just look at any of those individually and you kind of compare them to both the level and the frequency of content that I put out, there's not much of a comparison. And this isn't me like tooting my own horn or anything. This is just me following a lot of those. That's me following a lot of these consulting companies on their social media, on their websites, looking at the content that they're putting out that's for free, not behind a paywall or anything like that. And these organizations are multi-billion-dollar a year revenue creators. They have thousands of professionals that could be out there creating content. And you have little old me running a small boutique consulting firm that is just extremely passionate, extremely hardworking, ambitious, and one of those people that is just always curious and trying to continuously learn. So putting all that together, why do I put out all this content for free if all of the signs just kind of point to, I'm kind of crazy? So first and foremost, I just love what I do. I was lucky enough to kind of stumble on something. I still remember this day in my mind. When I was in college, just finishing up my undergrad, I just kind of finished up with law school exams, was thinking about where do I want to go for law school. I was sitting in my college apartment. I kind of was having my eyes closed and going in and out of kind of a sleep. And I started to think about, is being a tax attorney, a corporate lawyer, whatever that was going to be when I went to law school, was that going to be enriching to my life full time? And I started to question that. I questioned it a lot, and I started to think about, what am I most passionate about? What can I actually, make a really great life out of? And at the time, back in 2007, I was really getting into fitness, health. I was really active on the bodybuilding.com forums. I was just starting with a supplement company called B Sports. And my mind was really wrapped around this idea of supplement companies and business around, I didn't know the term consumer packaged goods or CPG at the time, but my mind was starting to wrap around that. So I took a detour, decided I needed to get more broad of an understanding of business. I had my undergrad in accounting, so I went and got my MBA and just started and just kind of reverse engineered what I thought would be the path to success to my ultimate long-term goals were. That's changed over the last 12 years in terms of the actual plan that's gotten me to where I am today, but there's still a lot of the elements that I thought about in my college apartment back in 2007 that was followed and brought me to this point today. So I'm extremely passionate about the life that I've built for myself. I get up, I'm excited about getting to work, putting in whatever effort that is, if it's through content I'm creating, is it with client projects, is it with some of my other business investments and things of that nature. So a lot of this free content is just from an extremely excited, passionate, curious person that wants to, enrich a community in which that has created a great life for me. The second reason why I put out free content is when I started my consulting company about 6 or 7 years ago, it's probably closer to 7 at this point, I started it on network alone. I just had left Muscle Farm. They were going through this hyper growth phase. So I had a lot of connections that were curious about what was happening there. I decided to leverage a lot of the great things that I had learned from there and started this consulting company. So after the first couple of waves of client projects that I got from that initial kind of kickoff, I was kind of lost. I'm not a natural salesperson. I'm not out there at all the events and conferences, and I'm not the person that is going to be the social butterfly. So as an introvert, I was kind of figuring out, like, how do I sell my services now to a bunch of people that don't know me or don't know some of the work that I've done before in my career? And the answer at the beginning of that in 2015 was I took a lot of time. I got in the weeds on a lot of businesses. I analyzed a lot of businesses. I approached cold approached businesses that I thought were missing out on some opportunities that were out there for them, or there were challenges that were kind of in front of them, both in current time and kind of in the future that I thought they needed to either overcome or hedge against. These emails were well thought out. They were kind of selling a dream to these businesses or these entrepreneurs that they really didn't see themselves or didn't have for themselves. And though they were really well composed and passionate, and I was excited to kind of present these things, excitement and kind of warm feelings that I thought I'd receive in return were just not there. It just never really became something that produced a lot of results. Throughout 2015, probably the first 9 months of 2015, I was sitting there kind of breaking even. I was kind of questioning myself and saying, did I make the right move? Should I go and work for a company? Should I, go do something else with my life? Should I, go maybe to law school, or any of these types of things that I started to question myself around? And during kind of late 2015, I decided, you know what? I'm going to start putting out content around some of my unique thoughts around business and the industries that I love. I'm going to see if any of those thoughts actually get validated in the market. And I started to put out content both through some commentary around some trending events, contemporary events that were happening in the industry through my LinkedIn or other social media accounts, or I started producing original content, articles originally on LinkedIn. And based off initial feedback and getting some of that and getting a lot of those thoughts validated, I kind of reinvigorated myself, really thought, hey, this is for me, I am a value to the industry, I am a value to individual companies. I started to get a little bit of attention from those posts, and that brought some initial clients, and things just started to kick up. So I create free content from a place of that I had to at a certain time, because I didn't know how to, in a way, business development, I didn't know what to do. I thought I had a really good approach, but it fell on its face, and I approached it from a different perspective, tested it, saw it worked very well, and because it worked so well and it continues to work so well, I just continued to put out a ton of content. I also love it, and it adjusted my learning paths and my applications of certain methodologies, but at the core it came from a place in which I needed to, and that mentality still reigns supreme with me. I still think about myself backed against a corner, needing to do something to make this consulting company grow, and I stay hungry by continuously putting out content at a much higher frequency and at a higher level than I did back in 2015. The number 3 reason is, honestly, the devil's in the details here. What I've found over the last several years of me putting out this content is a lot of the so-called consultants or business advisors, business coaches, whatever they call themselves, a lot of times you don't see them putting out content, and that's because they are kind of perpetuating the same information that was once popularized maybe 10, 20 years ago. It's these systems, it's these thoughts. They don't really think about the nuances and the application of anything. It's just they're putting a product out, they're selling a product to their client. That client is either buying it, and they don't want to put that out for free, because if they do put out their product for free, they wouldn't have anything to sell and create revenue against. That is completely different than myself. I could talk about any subject matter, any methodology, provide a ton of insights that people would likely want to pay for, but I understand that while I present or while I put out that content, be it written, audio, video, a lot of that is macro, a lot of that is big picture, a lot of that's generalizations. Though they are sound in the way that they're given, the real value in any of the information that I have as a consultant is through applying thousands of tools that I have on my belt, picking which tool is going to work best for the individual situation, the individual variables, sequence, competitive landscape, all these different external, internal factors, putting them all together in a successful plan, successful sequence that's going to work for the individual client. Has nothing to do with selling a black and white product, selling this plan that I've regurgitated for years. You'd be hard pressed to find two clients, two projects that are very similar, that have anywhere close to the same recommendations, the same plans, the same execution, anything. And that's what makes me not afraid to put out all this content for free, because I'm unique in the sense that I'm a creator, but in the sense of business. I'm helping these clients unlock some opportunities and growth that they didn't see in their business. Also help them maybe get through tough times, challenges, decrease some of their liabilities and exposure that they have in their business, and just quite honestly setting them up for success long term. So not necessarily scared about putting any content out for free, because I understand that that free content is not really applicable unless the person is able to kind of chew it up a little bit, apply it to their individual situations in a useful way, which is not all that easy to do, and that's where the value comes in from me. And then the final reason why I put out content for free, and because I'm a long-term thinker. So just as I approach my clients and projects, I also kind of approach my own professional life in the same way. I have definitely thought very strategically on my long-term goals, and then how I'm going to get there, and honestly what I think the future world that we're going to live in is going to look like, and where and how do I make sure that I reverse engineer something back that is going to get me to those points hopefully sooner than later. And the way that I see myself getting to those ultimate long-term goals is through thought leadership, and thought leadership in the sense that I'm going to be using content as that vehicle to get me to those future long-term goals. I believe in the future, like, market validated thoughts is going to be the currency. So I'm definitely sacrificing the currency of today. I could go out and sell ebooks or mastermind courses, put my content behind paywalls, or do all these different things, and I likely could make a very good living doing that. But I'm willing to give up that currency of today for what I believe is going to be a bigger payoff in the future. So right now I'm just really interested in giving the community way more value than I ask for in return. Now don't get me wrong, and you could see even from like the sticker on my laptop, I am a capitalist. So though I'm doing all this from a very giving, altruistic, and authentic place, I do need to be strategic to create long-term value. So even though shiny things should be distracting me, and I should try to pick up every dollar that's in front of me, I have a lot of patience. But in the meantime, I might as well continue to, kind of going back to number one, like, really love the life that I've built for myself, really enjoy day in and day out, working extremely hard, putting out a ton of free content, helping the community get to a better place, hopefully enriching a ton of people's lives. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly, and if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.